we're happy to serve our community as you are serving yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Green?
I'll wait to the cards.
That's it.
Additional cards?
That's all.
Okay, I just wanted to comment on one thing that was said, because sometimes I think that, you know, Orleans Parish gets a rap that we shouldn't get, and mainly I think it's because the media is closer to us and attends more of our meetings, including these. But there was an article on April 25th saying that officials in Jefferson Parish say that the homeless population has quadrupled over the past 3 years, prompting the launch of a new program aimed at removing encampments. The approach has already yielded results, as 17 encampments have been taken down in recent weeks. So I'm going to ask Mrs. Cagle, because you work with Jefferson Parish and Orleans, how are 17 encampments taken down, or is that in fact a fact? Okay, so I see a smile on your face.
We are not aware of 17 encampments being taken down. We're not aware of any encampments being taken down yet at Jefferson. I mean, not in the past year.
Right.
We took down almost every, you know, at one point we got the total number of people on the street down to only 30 people across both parishes in the first year of the pandemic, just because we had access to so many resources to do that. But I'm not aware that they have been taking down encampments, not in any kind of permanent way, maybe dispersing people so they move to the next corner, but that's, as you know, is not a solution.
I only brought that up because we get a bad rap sometimes as if we are incompetent in our city and that no one is enforcing the laws and the like, to the point where some are allowed to get away with facts that don't exist. This article clearly says 17 encampments have been taken down in recent weeks, which when I saw it, I said, well, that's almost impossible. But I mean, the bottom line is that I think that we get a rap sometimes and others just get away with throwing whatever facts they want to throw out there. And because we are in a position where we can be seen more easily, we get a lot of attention. And I do want to say the last thing. The fact is that we don't have a handle on our unhoused numbers for a variety of reasons. But I do want to say this. At the last meeting of the French Quarter Management Association, I asked specifically, how many unhoused persons are there living in the French Quarter right now? And I was told that we don't know, because in the hot months, they travel to other places. That's a very challenging statement to me, because we spend a lot of resources as a city. And I know that there's going to be, just as you said, persons who leave New Orleans and go to other places. But I hope that we'll get a handle in time on taxpayers' dollars being used in certain ways. I don't like the thought that there are persons who might be here for convenience. The numbers under the Claiborne Avenue Expressway expand when they're near Jazz Fest time and things like that. And we provide a lot of services. We don't get a lot of attention for the services that we provide, whether it be the cleanups, whether it be the maintenance of the portalets, whether it be the enhanced lighting that has to come in from time to time because bulbs are broken, police making calls in homeless encampments. I just hope that in time, and I feel very comfortable with your sincerity, that we'll address all of the issues that I brought up right now, including the transient population, so that we don't have a permanent unhoused population because we have transients who choose to stay in New Orleans. That's all.
We do have one more comment that was on another item. Candace Taylor. You got 2 minutes.
Hi. First, I just want to thank God for allowing me to be here, to be able to speak in this space. Real quick, a lot of things have already been said. I'm from New Orleans East, and we're just asking for a balance. We're asking for shared access across the districts. As you all know, New Orleans East has historically been undervalued, underestimated, marginalized, and disinvested into. So when you talk about bringing in the unhoused population, which is not to exclude a population, it has to be a balance. So we're asking for the resources to come along with the individuals. We have individuals who are homeowners now that are struggling, that do not have resources, that do not have mental health services, that do not have mental health resources, that do not have substance abuse resources. And we're talking about homeowners. We're talking about people who go to work every day, who have lives, who have children, We're not talking about just that. So we're not excluding those that are unhoused. I was unhoused before. So I know the challenges that surround not having a stable environment for myself and my children. But what we are asking for is a shared equal access across the districts that will strike a balance, think outside the box. Let's look for ways to help the unhoused and also bring resources into New Orleans East. We don't have those resources as well. So that's my hope, that's my ask, and it has to continue to be a collaborative and a collective effort on everybody's part. And I will ask that you all continue to engage the community because sometimes we just don't know where to go to get the information. So if we're having concerns about children at the bus stop, and we have some individuals that are clearly abusing substances, we don't know who to give that information to. So a lot of times you're going to get the 911 calls, you're going to get calls, you're going to get emails constantly. So we need that piece from you all. Give us the resources that we need so that we can be true partners with you all.
Thank you. Mr. Fields?
Absolutely. A lot of the stuff you just brought up was a part of the sustainability plan and also a communications plan. Sustainability, making sure that every part of the parish understands what the resources are, know how to get in contact with those resources, and are open to those resources. We are not just targeting the unhoused population. We are also going to help the housed population as well. We've been working with the health department. Once again, the Healthy Homes Project, we are pushing for more funding to come online for those processes. So it won't just be the unhoused population. We are helping those to stay housed. That's why I talked about earlier, the diversion model, making sure those individuals who are the housed stay housed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Thomas.
No, just to back up Ms. Taylor's comments, and we have people here from major nonprofits, the tourism industry, and the health industry. It has been amazing to me this time around how many of our social scientists and our business people have not even understood or followed what happened. Hope 6 changed public housing in terms of multi-use. They promised a 1-for-1. We know in many cases they didn't honor the 1-for-1. Hope 6 changed public housing, and then Katrina further exacerbated the issue around affordable housing. Katrina, Martha, and Mr. Fields changed the entire demographic. So when you know this city, you know the big 6 housing developments that lived in the core of the core of the city. That population was serviced by all of these nonprofits, opportunity with some of the businesses, the French Quarter, and what happened downtown. But once Katrina impacted that community, there were only 2 communities with multi-unit housing complexes where those the people who lived in the big 6 or downtown could go, especially once Central City and parts of Treme started to be gentrified. But guess what happened here in this city? That demographic was dispersed to New Orleans East and Algiers, 2 places where there were multi-unit complexes. But guess who didn't disperse with them? All the nonprofits and all of the social service agencies that received billions of dollars over decades to service them. So from the United Way to the Urban League to the Office of Family Services to the nonprofits to help the little bad boys and girls, the homeless agencies, the domestic violence agencies, all of those agencies that service that population downtown, once their populations were dispersed to the edges of the city, those agencies with all of the resources, guess where they stayed? Downtown. That's a major phenomenon and a major problem that happened in the city. They're still getting grant money. They're still getting millions of dollars in funding, but guess where their service population is? Pushed to the edges.
Thank you, Councilmember Thomas. I know we have about 30-something comments. Anita, why don't I give you 5 minutes? We'll put the rest on the record and then we'll wrap up.
Sure. See, we have a couple of repeats, so I'll just read the names. We have Latoya Mason, Amanda Smith, T. Carter, Chantel Jackson, Lauren Lewis, and Jordan Ferdinand, who they each say, please don't push the unhoused to the east. Francinia Henry says, please find Housing options for these people that do not concentrate them in the New Orleans East community. Janelle Glassford says, please do not push homeless individuals towards New Orleans East. Bessie Hall also says, please don't push homeless populations to New Orleans East. And Anicia Barre, do not bring more homeless to the east, please. Adette Thomas comments, New Orleans East has been handed a shady and unsuspecting presence of a particular group of people. The first influx happened when Cindy Nguyen was a city council member and has increased exponentially. Certainly everyone needs a chance at enjoying a good life. However, it should not be at the constant cost of what has become a refuge for all. Section 8, housing in particular. New Orleans East is a suburban community, not a community for a public transporter who become foot soldiers throughout neighborhoods. The described group of the influxed inhabitants are people not equipped to live in a suburban community. Thus, they present problems to those who are normal habitants. We, as residents in New Orleans East, want to build communities, not neighborhoods, that foster pathways to community destruction. Home ownership is a privilege and avenue to community building and should not be destroyed by actions of others. New Orleans East should not become the dumping force to those looking to remedy a citywide homeless population problem. Section 8, an apartment complex slumlords is enough. Create a quality of life for these people, but not in this community. A hotel room on a service road is not a home. You all know better and need to do better. Stop destroying our community. Luke Barlow comments, please do not relocate the homeless people under the bridge to New Orleans East. We do not want those types of issues plaguing our interstate exits and our hotels within our area, as they have contributed to enough problems within those vicinities. Brandon Henry comments, please don't push the unhoused to the east after years of neglect. Don't throw another obstacle in right when we are turning it around. Shavonda Forte says, do not try to push the unhoused to the east. It will not be beneficial to our area. Find them proper housing. Juan Carbo says, please do not allow transients and homeless individuals to be moved to New Orleans East. Will Sparkman comments, please do not relocate the homeless people in New Orleans to New Orleans East. We have enough issues already, and this will only multiply what's going on. Trees Howard says there are not enough resources to push the unhoused into the east. Do not make New Orleans East a dumping ground to hide the problem. Don Bentley Johnson comments, New Orleans East has enough problems that homeowners are trying hard to overcome and pull ourselves out of. The unhoused with tents and standing around begging is not another problem we need. Please make a better plan. Dropping the unhoused in New Orleans East is not a good one. Tayari Tolbert comments, please send those people to east. We have enough going on. Send them back to where they are from. Antonia Alsanders says New Orleans East is lacking adequate resources for its current residents. Please don't push the unhoused to this already strained community without adequate support. Shanta Palmer says, please don't push the unhoused to New Orleans East, please provide them with mental health care, job opportunities, and housing. Takari Hawkins, Shalita Hawkins, and Irene Abram say, please don't push the unhoused to the east. We as a community want to push a healthy narrative for our families and neighbors. This will only hurt an already looked over community. Lois Jones says, I agree that we need to reduce homelessness and increase affordable housing, but dropping them off to another area of the city is not the solution. Having tents popping up on the interstate exits in New Orleans East is definitely not the answer. I don't seem to see those tents in the Lakeview area. So why are they being brought to New Orleans East? Unity has the funds to help those individuals, but what we see is that they are brought to the east with no resources, so they just hang out at the intersections and interstate exits. The trash is being picked up by citizens on a regular basis to try to keep the area clean, and the persons doing just don't seem to care. The city needs to come up with a better plan to address this problem. The residents in New Orleans East are taxpayers, just like the other parts of the city, so we deserve to be treated the same way that the residents are treated in the more affluent areas. The tax base in the East is a large portion of city revenue, and we need to be given more respect. Rosalind Washington.
Thank you, Anita. I think that's your 5 minutes.
Yep.
And we'll put the rest on the record. I just want to say to this panel, thank you so much. It's always informative, always good to see you and work with you. Thank you to our partners who are in the audience and who are watching online as well. We couldn't do this alone. We can't as a city do this alone. We have to all coalesce to make sure that we're on the same page. Ms. Martha?
Yes, thank you for indulging me on this. I have neglected to acknowledge probably the most important people who have made a big difference in this whole initiative. And one thing that's really different about this is that we have the Council of People with Lived Experience that are informing our every move. And so whereas in the past, sometimes people would propose things, sometimes Unity would do things without consulting the very people we were serving. And then we were surprised when it didn't work. Now we've totally flipped that. And so we are looking to the Council of People with Lived Experience to inform our efforts. They oversee our efforts. They give consent or withhold consent, and we take that very seriously. And I think that's made a big difference and is a big reason why HUD funded the big grant. So thank you for allowing me to acknowledge them.
And you're right, they are the most important people and you have to hear voices. So thank you all for being here today and for your presentation. And I'll see you at another quarterly quality of life meeting. We have 3 more voting items on the agenda while we have a quorum. The first is to move the minutes, approve the minutes. Second by Council Member Green, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. And then Jonathan, can you come on up? Thank you. I know you were second and third on the agenda, but I appreciate you staying. So just as Jonathan is getting settled, Jonathan is behind H3C, the new multi-use housing development going in on OC Haley. This is the back part of Browns Dairy, the good part of Browns Dairy, where there will be a 100-unit affordable family building and a 92 housing development for the elderly. And so we're here on some motions to approve a maintenance covenant required by safety and permits between H3 LLC, the City of New Orleans, and the Finance Authority of New Orleans for the purpose of a fire suppression system is number 1. And number 4, motion M23509 is the same. So we're just approving those 2. Jonathan, do you have anything to say?
Yes, thank you, council member, and thank you for having me. Jonathan Light with Alembic Community Development. I'm here also representing Gulf Coast Housing Partnership. We're the 2 developers on this project. As you mentioned, it includes 100 affordable units for families and individuals and 92 for seniors. 100% of them are affordable below 60% of area median income. We also have on the ground floor a federally qualified health center operated by DePaul Community Health Clinic, which now has its sign up and is working on its build out. So we're very excited about that opening. These covenants are a result of, as you mentioned, going through a process with safety and permits and BBSA around maintaining certain kitchen equipment and things that we certainly are happy to do. It's obviously, it's a bit of an accident of scheduling, but not lost on anyone that following this last conversation, here we are talking about affordable housing, and housing, of course, is an ecosystem. And as you referenced, there's another part of this former Browns Dairy site between Berone and Carondelet that has been developed as short-term rentals, not only from a use perspective, but from certainly an urban design and every other perspective. It's really egregious, and really appreciate the efforts that council and really the city and everyone has made in response to that. Other things going on, we know that something that stuck with me that Martha said about housing, it's an acute issue. While we are actually in lease up right now on Oretha Castle Haley Boulevard and excited about that, it's also fairly deeply depressing to see the overwhelming need on a human basis, right? We're all in this industry, and too often these can become projects and transactions and financing, zoning changes and such, but obviously this is about people. And when we see the applications that come in, when 192 apartments that are affordable are opening, you're really reminded of the need out there. That relates to things like zoning and financing. So I know you're also working on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and really commend that. There is, as you know, the city has a NOFA out right now for existing projects. There are so many new projects out there that also urgently need funding. We hear a lot about insurance and interest rates, construction costs during the pandemic. These are all real. And sometimes I think we in the housing world worry that we get a little dull to it because it gets those three things in particular get heard so much and said so much, but they really are the things that are preventing more affordable housing from happening. And this is part of the ecosystem that also affects how to house the formerly homeless. We have permanent supportive housing as well, deeply affordable housing beyond just 6% AMI that also affects our above 6% AMI, right? Our middle income 80 to 100% AMI housing. This is all a system. And to the extent that the city has any resources to urgently put towards affordable housing, really encourage that moving forward. Thank you.
Well said, Jonathan. I have one comment from Michael Burnside. Do we have any online comments about either of these items, Mr. Burnside?
Gave me a wonderful segue. Michael Eric Burnside, 2215 Felicity. So the main reason I came up here was to bitch and complain about the fact that you don't have any numbers in the piece of paper that you were handing out, and I have no idea how much money was going to be spent suppressing fire. It would be sort of nice for anally retentive control freaks like myself to know that. The other thing is the idea about affordable housing. And affordable housing, I cannot speak directly to what's occurring on OC Haley, but I can speak directly to what's going on in Yahoo Newsfeed because I do mathematics. And affordable housing units are running anywhere from 150K to 300K each to make. To create one affordable housing unit is running in Yahoo Newsfeed articles from anywhere from 150K to 300K to create one unit. Now it becomes a little bit of a debate as to what's a unit. And units seem to be in the city 2 bedrooms. And Andronika Morris, for all that she may or may not have a good reputation among some individuals, does a lot of work. And segueing and off her data, not my own, it seems from her data that we have enough 2 bedrooms here in New Orleans. What we don't have is enough 1 bedrooms and enough efficiencies. And using my own words only, it seems to me that the 2 bedrooms are designed because eventually they're going to come off the affordable market and return to the market like American can. And 2 bedrooms are something that richer people want because they'll use one as a bedroom and the other as a day office or whatever. So as the city's going forward spending money on helping people build houses, the city should really try to push hard for 1 bedrooms or affordable housing or efficiency apartments for affordable housing. And even though it's a yellow light, since everybody else is gone, with your permission, I'll steal another minute and say that the main reason is use. So I have friends who are still homeless, and one of them died recently, and another and I were discussing life and all the rest of it. And the bottom line is he's a crack addict, and the bottom line is he owes people not just money, but social connections because he's a social animal. So if he was sleeping on somebody's couch last winter and he's got a 2 bedroom this winter, he's not going to turn down somebody from coming in and saying, hey, you know, I'll give you a little something, let me use the other bedroom. And then that person has a girlfriend. The next thing you know, there's a drug dealer in there and everything's going south. If the guy was in an efficiency, he could tell the first guy, hey, yeah, you can crash for a day or 2, but as soon as the girlfriend shows up, she's going to look around and go, hey, this is not going to work. So the smaller amount of space that you give desperate people, the kinder you are to them. They're under less pressure. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Thomas.
I mean, it is mathematics. That's why I use the city's footprint and population history a lot. Because when you talk about the city's population history and then how many people we have now, and so some of the math is availability times need divided by subsidy. So the subsidies in the late 70s, the subsidies in the early in the middle 80s, the subsidies in the 90s that created these affordable communities in the 7th Ward, back of town, Central City, Lower 9, and parts of Desire. the subsidies is what made it affordable. So the question is, we have footprint in terms of availability. We have the need, which is a national need, but then there's a subsidy. And you're absolutely correct. When you talk about affordability, you have to find a subsidy for something that will cost the person who's looking for affordable housing anywhere between 150 and 175,000, but it costs close to 300,000 or 275, 300,000 to construct. So the question is, where does the subsidy come from? Because that's the time we're in right now. But historically, when we've dealt with this issue, there's always been a subsidy.
Thank you, which is why we need this housing trust fund to continue to subsidize as a city. And Mr. Burnside, there is no cost to the city for these fire suppression contracts. The company is paying for them. It's just a maintenance covenant. With that, I will move to approve on 23-508.
Third, second box.
All right.
Third box.
All right, and can we get to the next one, Anita? They're the same thing.
Same issue.
Go ahead and make your motion to.
I'll go ahead and move to approve M 23-509, seconded by Councilmember Green. All in favor? And listen, we have a card from Meredith Green that is not, thank you, Jonathan, you're free to go. Thank you for all you do. That's not in response to anything, but I'll give you 2 minutes. Meredith Green? All right, you got 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you so very much. My call states the quality of life issue at 3 locations: 8501 Lake Forest, 5501 Bundy, and most recently 10880 Morrison. I've provided copies if you all would like to view them. I'm supposed to submit copies if I speaking about something, so I'll leave these copies, and I'm gonna take it up again at the Public Works Committee, but I thought that I would bring it in advance to the quality of life issues. If I could just give you all these, y'all could just flip through them as I speak. Would that be okay? Cause I prepared it.
We'll have someone come grab them.
Because the issues that I'm bringing forward now are definitely in the quality of life realm. And I just wanted to, it's kind of an advanced movement to try to get these areas addressed before someone gets hurt. And with the 10880 Morrison, it's just somebody, well, they're blocking the street and someone can get hurt out there as well. But just for the record, I submitted those pictures so y'all can be aware of what I'm speaking about and entered into the record. And I'll follow up with the Public Works Committee.
Yeah, just for the record, the 5501 Bundy, they've had several cleanups. As a matter of fact, we had a major cleanup there within the last 2 years, where a lot of that stuff was.
Well, this is current. These pictures I have at Bundy.
5501 Bundy.
5501.
Yeah.
Those are current pictures as it exists right now.
Yeah, but they've had several cleanups. As a matter of fact, in that area, the mayor had a major press conference, and we're going to continue to monitor that area. We've even had volunteers to clean it out, but we'll get the team back out for that area.
Right, because it's overgrowing again and it's getting dangerous again. And I'll say this, and I'll leave it at that. Code enforcement has been engaged to keep Bundy, the right of way, that sidewalk on Bundy, clean, but the work stopped because it was out of weed whacker string. So I want to go on the record as not understanding how they can stop work and why we can't get the code enforcement people what they need. So
and on the Lake Forest side, Mr. Mulligan had an entire team out there where they focus on the Cindy Place, that area between Crowder and Reed, and the New Orleans East Business Community had a whole day where they had almost 50 people out cleaning up that area, but it's unsightly again. We'll get that crew back out.
But when you said they went from Crowder to Reed, they went to, no, not Crowder, no, they went from Crowder to Lake Forest, but it didn't go from Crowder.
So Crowder and Lake Forest intersect each other.
The 8501 is between Crowder and Bundy.
Yeah.
So they never touched that in years.
There was a whole removal of the tires. They cleaned the entire corner. The city actually had a crew out there because a young man who used to play football owned that property, and they're doing some infrastructure work there. The fact now is that it's overgrown again, but we had a whole press conference with a major team out there cleaning up that area, but we'll get back out again.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green, and thank you to my fellow council members. Thank you to my team, Allison, Liz, and everybody else who really works on homelessness issues every day. I will move to adjourn.
Second.
Second to my council member Green, all in favor?
I'm the second for the
Ah.
chairman.
Thank you all.
All right.
Thank you.